Hi, I am Mr. Crocker, working from home again, and we're going to be talking about some more fractions today. So last time we talked about how a fraction has two parts. It has a numerator, which is on the top, and a denominator, which is on the bottom. And the numerator tells you how many you have. So if there was a pizza and you had 4 slices left, and there were 8 slices total when you started, then that's 4/8 of a pizza. Okay. If there's a candy bar and you break it into 2 pieces and you eat one of them, you could say you have half a candy bar left, or you could also say you ate half a candy bar. Okay. So today we're going to move on into identifying fractions and also dividing shapes. I feel like it's kind of an important skill. Okay. So I've just got some drawings here. Beautiful, beautiful fraction drawings that I very carefully drew, okay? And we're going to name them just to get a little bit of practice with that. So the first fraction picture that we're looking at here is a circle, okay? And the first question I would ask is, how many pieces are there total? So if we look at this picture, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces total. That is always my bottom number, okay? And then the next question I would ask is, how many are shaded? Okay, and I see all 4 of them are shaded. So that fraction would look like that, 4/4. Okay, that's all it is. So second picture, got a box. It's divided into how many pieces? It's 2 pieces, right? We would also call these halves. So it's kind of a weird word because the rest of them go, if it's a 3, it's thirds. If it's a 4, it's fourths. If it's a 7, it's sevenths. 2, not tooths. We call them halves. Okay. So there are 2 pieces, and we have how many? Well, we have 1 piece shaded. So that's your top number, and that fraction is 1/2. Okay. 4/4, 1/2. Okay. Next picture. We have another box, but this time it is broken into 3 pieces. So the total number of pieces, should that be the numerator or the denominator? The total, okay, the total is the bottom number, which is the denominator. So we call these thirds, okay? And then the number that are shaded, in this case, it is 2. 2 are shaded, so that would be 2/3. Okay, and sometimes they'll be tricky and say how many are missing. So if you know they're asking you about the other part, I have 2/3 here, 1/3 is missing. Those 2 things should always add up to the whole. Okay, like a half here, a half missing, that adds up to 2. 2/3 here, 1/3 missing, that adds up to 3. Okay, I hope that didn't muddy the water. So last example, we've got 4 pieces, right? Top number or bottom number? This is like a Dora moment. You got it. It's 4. Okay, 4 pieces, and it goes on the bottom. That's right. And there's Sam. Say hi, Sam. Okay, so Sam is playing snakes on his iPad. So out of 4 pieces, how many do we have? We have 2. Okay, so that's 2/4. It's also a half, but we'll get into that later. Okay, so that shows 2/4. Okay, so that's identifying fractions. The key there is just that you remember that the total goes on the bottom and how many you have is the top. Okay, now let's get into dividing or partitioning. It's a fancy word for dividing or sharing equally. It's kind of like division. Okay, so partitioning shapes. So okay, these are the two types of shapes you'll be dividing the most. If it's just halves, right? If they say divide this into two pieces, it's just a line down the middle, okay? And if I wanted to, I could go the other way. The important thing is that you have the right number of pieces and that they are equal. They have to be equal. So for instance, that does not work. Okay? Neither does that. They have to be equal. Okay? So I think you'll find when you are doing this that the even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8 are easier, and the odd numbers 3, 5, 7, 9 are a little bit more tricky. So like, let's look at thirds. Okay, if I'm going to make thirds, or I could write it like that too. Okay, so with a circle, the way I would find thirds is I would find the middle, and I can't draw a line straight through because then you're going to have a half and two smaller pieces, and they have to be equal. So I just have to try to make them about the same. Okay, so peace sign, thirds. And then the rectangles might be a little bit easier. Okay, I think of thirds as one in the middle and equal pieces on either side. With odd numbers, I like to think, what's the middle, how many on each side? So if I draw that, that gave me 3 pieces. Okay, so I was making them a little bit more even. Okay, so that's how I would partition thirds. And then, if I wanted to even go a step further, I could show 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Okay, so to partition fourths, okay, now we get into multiples. Okay, so with the even numbers, you go through the multiples, or at least that's how I do it. So to draw fourths, first I draw halves, and then you just cut the halves in half. Okay, fourths, half, fourth. So it's like 2, 4. Okay, that's how I would draw fourths. Okay. Fifths. Okay. I can't do the multiple thing that I just did with fourths with fifths because 5 is a prime number and it's not a multiple of a smaller number. Okay. So again, odd number here. I'm going to find the middle because my lines are going to stop there. They're not going to go straight through with fifths. And I'm just going to think a little bit smaller than thirds. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty close there. Okay, fifths. With the box or a rectangle, again, this is 5, right? 5 fingers. That's what I'm showing you. 5 fingers. I think middle and 2 on each side. That's how I visualize 5. Okay, so I know I'm going to have to take a pretty small piece because I'm going to make 5. So if I take that small piece, that's a start, right? And then I need 2 on each side. So that gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how I would partition fifths. Okay. Sixths. Sixths now. 6 are a multiple of 3, right? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 8. Okay, they're a multiple of 3. So the way I like to do sixths, there's a couple ways you could do it, is I would draw thirds, peace sign, right? And then I would just cut them in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hope that this cut them in half strategy makes sense to you, because if it does, equivalent fractions will make sense. Okay, so that shows sixths. Now, I could do this another way. Okay, I could go with half. And then if I'm trying to get to 6 total, that means that I need to cut each one of these into 3 pieces each. Okay, so I can just kind of imagine like there's, that also gets me to 6. Okay, with the box, if I'm drawing sixths, I don't have 6 fingers on one hand. It's a real problem. But the way I would think about this is 2 threes, 2 sets of 3, right? So if I go half, I know now that I need to put 3 on each side of that half. Okay, so that got me to sixths. Okay. I'm going to show you sevenths and eighths and be done. So sevenths are a tricky one because they are a prime number. They are not a multiple of a smaller number. So I can't do like thirds and cut them in half and make sixths. It won't work. There's nothing that builds into sevenths. You just have to draw sevenths. So kind of like I did fifths, I'm just thinking, well, sevenths are going to be smaller, right? Fractions are kind of weird because 7 is a bigger number than 5, but what it actually means is more pieces. And when it's more pieces, it means smaller pieces. Okay, so my 7th piece is very big, so it's a little bit tricky. Okay. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I got it on the second try. So that's going to happen to you too. You're gonna draw them, and the last piece is going to be huge, and you're going to have to start over, and that's okay. Okay. So now, if we think for the box, it's easier. If we think 7, that's 1 in the middle and 3 on each side, right? Because that would be 3, 6, 7. So I'm going to draw a pretty skinny little piece in the middle. Okay, that's 1. And now if I put 3 here and 3 here, that'll be a total of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sevenths. Okay. Okay. Sevenths are tough. That was like a magic trick. I got a clean board and didn't even have to erase. Okay. So now I'm going to do eighths. And eighths are an even number, and they are a multiple of 2, so I can get there by 2s, right? So I'm going to go 2, 4, and now if I take my 4 pieces and I cut each of them in half, I will get to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And I can do the same thing with my rectangle. I've been drawing just a lot of vertical lines, and you could draw 8 vertical, well, you wouldn't actually draw it. You could make 8 vertical pieces if you wanted to, but I'm just going to do this, okay? 4. And now if I cut my, that gave me 8. You could only do this with even numbers because you get sets of 2. So like if I was trying to make 7, that doesn't work. Okay, but it works great for even numbers like eighths. So that is how you partition shapes. Day 2 of fractions. Yay!